What did Keyshawn Johnson say about Trey Lance? Tell us, the good people watching.
He okay, so he said that he would give his right arm if Trey Lance he would bet his right arm that Trey Lance is the starter for the season. He doesn't think it's particularly close. He doesn't think that he's fighting for his life, as he put it. He feels like he is the clear-cut starter, and he basically compared Brock Purdy to Jimmy Garoppolo and saying, hey, great story, but the offense was still similar in that it was shorter game, dink and dunk, all that type of stuff. He ran it to higher execution, but it's not different enough to just forego Trey Lance. And he believes as long as Trey Lance is healthy and shows that he is still making strides, that it's his job and it's not close. Which I thought was interesting.
That's very interesting. No one's really talking like that about Trey Lance right now, right? And even people on the team, there was that anonymous quote from someone on the team saying people would be pissed if Brock wasn't the quarterback. And even Trey Lance has said, what? George Kittle said on the record, it's Brock Purdy's job to lose.
Mm-hmm.
That was wild. That's the thing about this team. There's what's obvious, there's what's commonsensical, and there's what the leaders in the team want. And it seems like they make all the decisions. And Kyle Shanahan could have an idea of what he wants to do, but then he runs it by the Cabo clique, and they're like, "Well, we vote this way," and Kyle's like, "All right, that's what we'll do." I don't know. That's the impression I get. So,
did you call him the Cabo clique?
Yeah. And I know it's like they weren't vacationing together. They just happened to be in the same.
Sure,
spot.
They were. Yeah.
They just happened to. Hey, you're gonna be in Cabo? Well, maybe we'll hang out. Yeah. I'm just saying.
Cabo clique.
Cabo clique. It's smart as hell, man. Using that Harvard education, I'm definitely being best friends with my coach. Absolutely. Oh, you're going to cut me next year? What about all those great times we had in Cabo? Kyle. I thought we were friends, Kyle.
I really didn't have a problem with the whole Mexico thing or the Cabo thing, but that is actually really funny. Cabo clique. Yeah,
the Cabo clique.
What's funny about what Keyshawn Johnson is saying is it's similar to what I was saying. And that the 49ers, in my opinion, prefer to have a dynamic quarterback. Now, I'm not saying Trey Lance is for sure going to be that guy, but he has an opportunity to be that guy, and you got to figure out if he can. And so people were saying, if Brock Purdy goes to the NFC Championship or goes to a Super Bowl, that's enough that the job is his. And I always said, if he does anything but win the Super Bowl, I feel like that's not necessarily the case. I feel like it's still probably Trey's job. Now, I do get the feeling in listening to the players and all these other things now that it is Brock Purdy's job to lose, but I like where Keyshawn Johnson is going because that line of thinking is exactly the way that I looked at the position and what I thought it should be. That as long as Trey Lance is healthy and as long as Trey Lance is progressing, he is the guy that can take you to that next level. So let him prove that he can be that guy.
Right. And I guess what Keyshawn Johnson is saying kind of like assumes that there's a choice. And what I would like to say is I don't think there's a choice here. I think what we're learning is that all that optimism that the Kyle Shanahan was expressing at that press conference was based on freaking nothing. They don't even know when he's going to have the surgery. They're saying hopefully mid-March. Well, they'll see. They could look at him in mid-March and be like, let's wait another 2 weeks. Let's wait another 2 weeks. We don't know. This setback wasn't anticipated to begin with. So even if he has surgery in 2 weeks, like, are you telling me that he's that much better than Trey Lance, that coming off this huge surgery with zero offseason, they're just going to throw him in week one when Trey Lance has had the entire offseason? Is Lance that bad? Well, I guess we'll see. I don't think he's that bad. I think if Trey Lance has the entire offseason and Brock doesn't have any, you got to go with Trey. Who the hell is Brock? I love Brock Purdy. Who the hell is Brock Purdy? He's started 8 games. You don't just get the job. I'm sorry. You gotta work your way back too.
Yeah, I think that's fair for both players. This
He's not
2
an 8-year
weeks.
vet. You know what I'm saying? He's not on a second contract with $100 million. He hasn't won a Super Bowl. Like, you had a promising start too, but you had no offseason. Chill.
Yeah, because there's improvements he has to make too. I mean,
Yeah.
quite frankly, we have to see those improvements. And if you don't have an offseason, then it's hard to say that you've improved in those areas. But this 2 weeks, potential 2 weeks, assuming that he does get surgery after this time frame, is huge. I mean, the timeline was already, I called it optimistic. I thought it was a little bit like aggressively optimistic already. And now with 2 weeks added into it, I think the optimism that Purdy's just going to be ready to roll. And hey, you know what? He's not going to have to go through training camp or preseason or none of that, but he'll be ready to roll week 1. So just give him the ball and go out there. I feel like that. I don't know how anybody can be that optimistic that it's just going to work out like that.
I'm not.